Have you ever stopped to wonder why we celebrate the new year in the dead of winter instead of the arrival of spring? The truth is hidden right in front of us within the names of the months themselves. Today we are going to uncover a story of forgotten gods, political panic, and a war that permanently altered how the entire world measures time. Why is December called the 10th month when it is actually our 12th? Did a desperate military strategy 2,000 years ago force us to pop champagne on January 1st? We are about to answer these questions. Before we step back into the ancient world, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, Best of History and Mythology. Hit the like button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new discovery. Have you ever looked closely at the names of the months and realized the math does not add up? We use words derived directly from Latin numbers. Septem means 7, Octo means 8, Novem means 9, Decem means 10. However, September is our 9th month, October is the 10th. This is not a simple translation error, but a fossil buried deep in our daily lives. To understand this anomaly, we must travel back to the very foundation of the Eternal City in 753 BC. The legendary founder Romulus established the first system of Roman timekeeping. It was vastly different from the solar schedule we follow today. This ancient structure was known as the calendar of Romulus, and it consisted of only 10 months. The year spanned just 304 days. It began not in the dead of winter, but with the arrival of spring. The first month was Martius, followed by Aprilis, Maius, and Junius. The remaining months were simply numbered. Quintilis was the 5th, Sextilis was the 6th. This counting continued through December, which was truly the 10th and final month. The placement of the new year in Martius was deliberate and symbolic. It was named after Mars, who was the Roman god of war. This alignment was vital because the Roman year was synchronized with the two pillars of their early society, which were agriculture and military campaigns. The arrival of March marked the vernal equinox when the frost receded and the earth softened enough for plows. Simultaneously, it was the season when the weather became mild enough for the legions to leave the city and march into battle. You might wonder what happened to the time we now know as January and February. In this early agricultural society, that period was considered a nameless winter gap. It was a hollow void in the calendar. Since no crops could be grown and no wars could be fought, the early Romans did not even bother to count those days. The calendar simply stopped when December ended. Time was suspended in a 61-day period of dormancy while the people waited for the snow to melt. The original New Year was not a celebration of time passing, but a functional alert that the world had woken up and the season of blood and iron had returned. The chaotic void of the winter season could not remain formless forever. The second ruler of the kingdom was Numa Pompilius, a sovereign who was less a warrior and more of a priest. He recognized that the existing system was woefully out of sync with the actual lunar cycles. To bring the calendar into harmony with the heavens, he carved fresh time out of the frozen dormancy. Numa established a lunar year of 355 days and created 2 completely new months to bridge the gap between the death of December and the rebirth of Marius. The first of these new periods was dedicated to a deity who held a singular place in the local pantheon with no equivalent in Greek mythology. This was Janos. He was the divine porter of heaven and the god of gates, known in Latin as Ianua. Artistic representations typically depicted him as Janus Bifrons, a being with 2 faces sharing a single head. One visage looked backward into the past while the other peered forward into the future. It was a powerful metaphor for transition and the perfect patron for the opening of the calendar. His blessing was required for every beginning, from the start of a human life to the commencement of a business venture. Following the month of the two-faced god came Februarius. While January was about looking forward, this second edition was focused on the underworld and the cleansing of the spirit. The name derived from the Februar, which were strips of goatskin used in ritual purification ceremonies. This month was designed as a necessary period of atonement and spiritual hygiene. The citizens would purge themselves of the sins accumulated over the previous year to prepare for the return of spring. Even though these 2 months were added to the calendar, the rhythm of the state did not immediately change. The people honored Janus and purified themselves in February, yet they still waited for the 3rd month to mobilize their government. The calendar now had 12 pages, but the political mechanism of the state remained stubbornly attached to the spring equinox. We just saw how the ancient Romans used the month of February as a time for deep spiritual cleansing and atonement to prepare for the new cycle. Today, our New Year celebration is often just about parties and noise. Do you think our modern society would benefit from having a dedicated month of silence and purification before starting the year, or is that an outdated concept? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. For centuries, the operational heartbeat of the Roman Republic was synchronized with the Ides of March. This specific date served as the traditional inauguration day for the consuls, the supreme magistrates who held the power of imperium. The entire political machinery of the state was calibrated to this schedule. A consul would assume office as spring approached, recruit his legions, and then depart for the provinces to oversee governance or wage war. This rhythm worked perfectly when the enemies of Rome were local neighbors in Italy, but it became a fatal liability as the borders of the empire expanded to the edges of the known world. The catalyst for shattering this ancient timeline occurred in the rugged terrain of Spain during a conflict known as the Second Celtiberian War. A powerful coalition of tribes centered around the city of Segeda began to fortify their walls in direct violation of previous treaties. The Senate in Rome assessed the intelligence and realized they were facing a massive insurrection that required a swift and overwhelming response. The designated commander for this campaign was Quintus Fulvius Nobilior, but he faced a logistical nightmare that threatened to doom the expedition before it began. Geography became the primary adversary of the state. The journey from the Italian peninsula to the interior of Spain was arduous and consumed precious months. If Nobilior waited until the traditional mid-March inauguration to raise his army and travel, he would not arrive at the front lines until late summer. The campaigning season would be effectively over, giving the Celtiberians another year to strengthen their defenses. The strict adherence to the Ides of March meant the Roman war machine would arrive too late to fight. In a move driven by panic and pragmatic necessity, the Senate enacted a radical shift in 153 BC. They realized they could not shorten the road to Spain, so they decided to manipulate time itself. The politicians decreed that the consuls would bypass the spring tradition and assume their powers on the calends of January instead. This political maneuver granted the general 2 vital months of winter to prepare his forces and march. The administrative year was permanently severed from the agricultural cycles of nature and reattached to the urgent demands of military logistics. The new year was moved to the 1st of January not to honor a god, but to ensure a Roman army could reach the battlefield on time. If you are enjoying this journey through time and want to uncover more secrets about the past, please subscribe to Best of History and Mythology. Do not forget to leave a like and activate the bell icon so you are always notified when we release high-value historical content like this. By the time Julius Caesar consolidated his power as the supreme dictator, the Roman timekeeping system had devolved into a state of administrative anarchy. The calendar was theoretically lunar, but it required human intervention to stay aligned with the seasons. The high priests, known as pontiffs, possessed the exclusive authority to insert intercalary days to correct the drift. Unfortunately, these religious officials were often politicians who abused this power for corruption. They would arbitrarily shorten a year to limit the term of a rival consul or lengthen it to keep an ally in power. This manipulation caused the calendar to detach completely from the physical reality of the solar system. The misalignment became so severe that the harvest festivals were occurring before the crops were ripe. The seasons themselves seemed to be in revolt against the state. Caesar, serving as the Pontifex Maximus, decided to end this temporal corruption by imposing a scientific solution derived from his time in Egypt. He summoned the Alexandrian astronomer Sosigenes, who advised him to abandon the lunar model entirely. They designed a new solar framework that calculated the year at 365 and 1/4 days. This shift would eliminate the need for the corruptible intercalation process and ground the Roman year in astronomical certainty. To implement this radical reform, Caesar first had to fix the accumulated errors of the past. The year 46 BC was designated as the transit point between the old chaos and the new order. History remembers this period as the year of confusion. To realign the calendar with the sun, Caesar added multiple extra months to that single year, extending it to a staggering length of 445 days. It was the longest year in human history. When the sun finally rose on the calends of January in 45 BC, the calendar was locked in step with the solar cycle. The start of the year was no longer just a bureaucratic convenience for generals, but a fixed point in a scientifically engineered system that would dictate the rhythm of the Western world for more than 2 millennia. We just learned that Roman politicians were manipulating the length of the year simply to keep their allies in power or shorten the term of their rivals. It seems that twisting the rules for personal gain is as old as civilization itself. Do you believe our modern political systems are truly free of this kind of manipulation, or do we just call it by a different name today? I am very curious to read your opinions in the comments. The collapse of the Western Roman Empire brought a tidal wave of religious transformation across Europe. The rising power of medieval Christendom sought to purge the continent of its heathen past. The Church viewed the festivities of January 1st with deep suspicion because they were rooted in pagan idolatry and riotous excess. In an attempt to sanctify time itself, the ecclesiastical authorities relocated the beginning of the year to dates that held spiritual significance. For centuries, different kingdoms celebrated the New Year on Christmas, or the Annunciation in March, or even Easter. The uniformity of the Roman system was fractured into a confusing mosaic of local religious traditions. Despite this spiritual effort to erase the legacy of the Caesars, the ghost of the Roman bureaucracy refused to fade away. The civil year, which governed contracts and legal terms, remained stubbornly tethered to the Julian framework. The mathematical precision of the Roman calendar was simply too useful to discard. When Pope Gregory XIII introduced his famous reform in 1582 to correct the drift of the solar year, he did not fight the ancient current. He officially restored January 1st as the standard beginning of the year for Catholic countries. One by one, the Protestant nations eventually surrendered to this logic. The pragmatic efficiency of the Roman state had outlasted the theological objections of the Church. This leads us to the startling reality of your modern celebration. When you count down the final seconds of December, you are not participating in a random cultural habit. You are unknowingly reenacting a 2,000-year-old ritual. You are honoring a logistical deadline set by a panicked Senate during a rebellion in ancient Spain. You are paying tribute to Janus, the two-faced guardian of transitions. The ultimate proof of this immortal legacy is hidden in plain sight every time you write a date. September is still the 7th month by name. October is the 8th. November is the 9th. December is the 10th. These names are silent linguistic fossils. They serve as an eternal reminder that no matter how much time passes, we are still marching to the invisible drumbeat of a forgotten Roman war. History is not just in books, it is in the numbers you write every single day. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in our next video here on Best of History and Mythology.